We've got 16 five-star prospects in that class now. It begins with Caden Samuels, Christian Collins, Caden Allen, Caleb Gaskins, Mustafa Diop, Tony Bryant, Akenna Alosi, Anthony Thompson. And then from there, the top 8, Jordan Smith, Jason Crow, Mika Mernon, Elijah Arenas, Caleb Holt, Taj Ariza, Brandon McCoy, and Tyron Stokes. Now, for those who have watched this show, we've been very transparent in recent months and recent years about how I tend to watch the older guys more, and you guys get a really thorough start on these young players. So I want to ask you guys first and foremost, what is it, Bossi? I'm going to ask you, why is Tyron Stokes still the number 1 ranked prospect in the country?
Flat out, he's earned it. To take it away from him, someone's going to have to really go after him. You look at this guy, and you would think if you didn't know anything about him that he was a big-time football prospect just with the way he's built. He's 6'7". He's 245 pounds, and that's muscle, not baby fat. And he's an explosive athlete who can really move in traffic. But he's not just some dominant physical force. This guy has real game. He can shoot with range. I think he shot almost 40% from 3 in the EYBL. He's a big-time rebounder. And on top of his scoring and everything else, he proved this summer he's also a dynamic playmaker for others. The guy really has a very complete game and just keeps getting better and better. When, maybe a year or so ago, he was primarily just an athlete. He's a real full-fledged basketball player.
Trev, we've talked about this over the course of the season and the improvements that we saw Stokes make. We talked about the growth in his shooting. I'll tell you what I saw this year at Peach Jam. This guy was like a jumbo initiator. So this is someone initially we thought, hey, maybe he's a 4, like early on in his career, just because of his body type. And then it's like, all right, maybe he's a big wing. And I tell you, I think he is one of those, and I don't use this word lightly, almost positionless players who can play make from a variety of spots on the floor. And he was as much of a triple-double threat at the Peach Jam as anyone I saw. So speak to that a little bit, just the growth we've seen. I know Bossi alluded to it, but are there specific areas that you've really seen him take to the next level in the last 12 months?
Yeah, not just that skill set that Bossi was talking about, going from more of a power athlete, guy that can bully you to the rim, and becoming this much more well-rounded player. But the thing that really jumped out to me all spring and summer long was just the maturity level and how much he's grown in that regard. And that's not just in going from first off, in his decision-making, he's really grown, becoming less turnover prone, making the right decisions and passes with the basketball, but also just when you watch him over the course of an entire game, he's really gotten the ability and the maturity now to not let bad plays continue on and impact the rest of the game. This is a kid that is now bouncing back much, much quicker out on the court, and that was something that we were looking for throughout this spring and summer. And so the growth of that maturity on top of the growth of the skill set, it's really hard. Again, as Bossi said, at this point, somebody's going to have to come take it from him. And to take it from him, it's going to take a lot, because this kid had an extremely productive and impactful and impressive summer.
Yeah, he keeps taking his game to new levels. All right, now we're each going to mention a player in the 5-star ranks that we're going to keep our eye on. Obviously, I think it's fair to say there are going to be some new names that emerge in the coming season. But Bossi, I think this is an easy answer because we know this guy's your guy. Who do you have your eye on here in the 5-star territory, if you will, that you're going to be tracking their progress in the upcoming season?
Well, this one's pretty easy. If you know me, and I'm a bit of a sucker. I've been doing this for 25 years. I get a little bit sentimental when I see sons of guys that I saw come up through the high school ranks. So Taj Ariza was immediately on my radar the first time I saw him as a freshman. But he's not just the son of an NBA player with Trevor Ariza. He is a legitimate monster talent. We're talking about a guy that is now 6'8", maybe going to end up pushing 6'9", who has legitimate ball skills. He played a lot in the pick and roll for his high school team last year as a sophomore, often running the point guard. He's an electric athlete. He's got a gorgeous looking jump shot. Obviously the genes are there, but and I've had this conversation with Taj. The fact that he is the son of a former NBA player is certainly part of his story, but it's not who he is. He's still Taj Ariza himself, and that's what we're evaluating him as. And as it is, he's a big-time talent who, if he puts it all together and just gets a little more consistent, has a chance to push Brandon McCoy and Tyron Stokes up in that top 2. And just overall, the class in Southern California in 2026 is mind-boggling, with 6 5-stars and 5 of the top 7.
All right, well, you said it right there. So let me talk a little bit about Brandon McCoy, currently ranked number 2 overall in the class. We are talking about a big and versatile guard. What I love about Brandon McCoy is he plays both ends of the floor. In fact, I think there are times where he can just flat out dominate the game on the defensive end. It takes a motor to do that. I think you're also looking at somebody who's got positional size and a body that is just starting to click. Physically, his game is just starting to go to new levels. I think that's going to continue to ascend. What's going to allow him to potentially contend for that top spot is if he can continue to develop his point guard skills and the consistency of his jumper. He makes shots now, but if he can be a little bit more automatic and a little bit more, shall we say, pure as a big lead guard, then we've got a really special prototype. But as it stands, one of the best competitors, best two-way players, and just someone who really embraces the defensive end of the floor at an early stage in the process. Trav, you have someone that you want to talk about that's just on the doorstep of the top 10. I don't want to call him a sleeper when he's already that high, but does not have the same name recognition as some of these other guys just yet.
Yeah, he's a player that fans absolutely need to get to know, and that is Tony Bryant. He's a 6'8", 6'9" power forward out of Florida. A kid that is a tremendous athlete, hasn't been playing basketball near as long as many of his peers, really just started playing competitively in the last 3 or 4 years. But what has really stood out about Tony Bryant is just the athleticism he possesses with his size, on top of just having a very, very high motor. He runs the floor exceptionally well, is very, very quick off his feet, and impacts the game on both ends of the court. He's a big-time rebounder, protects the rim, contests everything within his area, and always gets 2 or 3 blocks. I actually watched him one time out at Section 7 in June, and he actually tallied, I think, near 9 or 10 blocks in that game. But the offensive skill set on top of it is really budding. A guy that shows touch on his jump shot out to 18 feet, is already becoming more and more comfortable pulling up off 1 and 2 dribble pull-ups, but then will also take mismatches down into the post and scores over both shoulders. So the recruitment doesn't reflect the current ranking, but I would fully anticipate that's going to be coming in the next few months.
All right, and if you recall, Travis a year ago was talking about guys like Nate Ament, so a pretty good indication of a name to watch in that 2026 class. Again, make sure you visit 247sports.com. You can check out not just the newly updated rankings in their totality in 2025 and 26, but you can check out our breakdowns as well from myself, Travis, Eric, and the rest of the team, all there, 247sports.com. And, you know, we always have wall-to-wall team coverage, the newly updated recruiting rankings, and the transfer portal updates.